Hello everyone and welcome to Worst Top Ever, the place where we dive into the most bizarre, unexpected, and downright ridiculous facts you never thought you'd care about, but can't stop watching. Today's countdown is going to blow your mind, so sit back, relax, and let's jump into the list, if you dare. What if a cartoon knew more about the future than we did? These are the wildest Simpsons predictions that actually came true. 1. Coronavirus pandemic minus 1993. Let's start with one of the eeriest. In a 1993 episode called Marge in Chains, a mysterious flu called the Osaka flu spreads across Springfield. The virus arrives from Japan, hidden inside a box of juices. Within days, people are panicking, hospitals are overwhelmed, and the whole town goes into chaos. Sound familiar? Now fast forward to 2020. COVID-19 hits the world, the parallels are chilling. Panic buying, public fear, and mass confusion. The Simpsons played it for laughs. Reality, not so funny. 2. Donald Trump presidency minus 2000. In the year 2000, an episode called Bart to the Future imagined Lisa becoming president. She casually mentions inheriting quite a budget crunch from President Trump. Yes, Donald Trump. At the time, he was just a flashy billionaire. No political experience, just headlines and hot takes. But in 2016, Trump became the 45th President of the United States. And The Simpsons saw it coming 16 years early. 3. Siegfried and Roy Tiger attack, 1993. In Dollar Springfield, The Simpsons parodied Vegas magicians with characters named Gunter and Ernst, and showed them getting mauled by a white tiger. Funny, right? Then in 2003, Roy Horn of Siegfried and Roy was attacked on stage by a 380-pound tiger. Same setting, same outcome, career-ending injuries. Real-life trauma, the show made a joke. Reality followed the script. 4. Murder Hornets minus 1994. In Marge in Chain, a riot scene ends with a box being knocked over. On it, the words, "Killer Bees." It was just a joke, but in 2020, murder hornets, massive, stinger-loaded predators, were found in the US. Suddenly, the throwaway line felt a little too on point. 5. FIFA corruption minus 2014. In You Don't Have to Live Like a Referee, Homer becomes a World Cup ref and discovers massive bribery inside FIFA just a year later. Real-life FIFA was hit with a corruption scandal. Top officials arrested, millions in bribes. International disgrace. The Simpsons blew the whistle before the FBI. 6. Faulty voting machines, 2008. In a Treehouse of Horror episode, Homer tries to vote for Obama, but the machine keeps switching his vote to McCain. Fast forward to 2012. A viral video showed a Pennsylvania voting machine doing exactly that. Once again, The Simpsons called out a real tech issue before it made headlines. 7. Smartwatches minus 1995. In Lisa's wedding, Lisa's fiancé speaks into his watch like a phone. In 1995, that was sci-fi. But 2 decades later, smartwatches are everywhere. Apple Watch, Samsung, Fitbit, and yeah, they make calls too. What seemed like a joke became part of our daily routine. 8. NSA spying minus 2007. In The Simpsons movie, Homer accidentally becomes a fugitive, and the NSA is shown secretly listening in on private calls across America. 6 years later, in 2013, Edward Snowden leaked classified documents proving the NSA really was collecting data from millions of citizens. A cartoon comedy or a warning in disguise. 9. The God Particle minus 1998. In The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, Homer writes a bizarre equation on a chalkboard. Physicists later realized it nearly predicts the mass of the Higgs boson, aka the God particle, in 2012. CERN scientists finally confirmed its existence. Once again, The Simpsons tapped into science and somehow landed ahead of the curve. 10. Disney buys 20th Century Fox to 1998. In a blink and you'll miss it moment, a building shows the sign. 20th Century Fox, a division of Walt Disney Co. Everyone laughed, until 2019, when Disney actually bought 21st Century Fox. The Simpsons predicted the very company that now owns them. Talk about full circle. 11. Lady Gaga's Super Bowl performance predicted in 2012. In the 2012 episode Lisa Goes Gaga, the pop icon swoops through the skies on wires, covered in glitter, performing to a packed stadium. It's wild, over the top, and completely Gaga. Costumes change by the second, fireworks fly, and she even levitates. At the time, it felt like The Simpsons was just leaning into parody. But 5 years later, at Super Bowl 51, Lady Gaga descended from the roof of the stadium, sang her biggest hits, and delivered a performance that looked nearly identical to the animated version, right down to the mid-air entrance. Even Gaga fans were stunned at how spot on it was. Either life imitates art, or someone at the NFL really loves The Simpsons. 12. US wins gold in curling, predicted in 2010. In Boy Meets Curl, Homer and Marge become Olympic curling partners, beating the odds and Sweden to bring home gold for the US. It's a total underdog story. Homer even breaks his broom mid-match and still wins. At the time, the idea of the US winning gold in curling felt like the ultimate joke. But in 2018, it happened for real. The US men's team stunned the world by beating Sweden in a dramatic final to claim their first ever Olympic gold. Fans immediately made the connection. Was it just a long shot? Or were The Simpsons giving us a heads up 8 years early? Either way, they called it. 13. Autocorrect fails, predicted in 1994. In Lisa on Ice, Springfield bully Kearney asks Dolph to take a note on his Apple Newton, one of the earliest digital organizers. He says, "Beat up Martin," but the Newton misreads his handwriting and autocorrects it to "eat up Martha." It was a tech joke at the time, poking fun at how bad early handwriting recognition was. But Apple developers later admitted that this joke haunted them. When the iPhone was being developed, they wanted to avoid another "eat up Martha" moment. Fast forward to today, and autocorrect fails are so common, they've spawned websites, Reddit threads, even books. The Simpsons mocked a tech flaw that we all still suffer through. 14. Greece's economic collapse, predicted in 2012. In Politically Inept with Homer Simpson, Homer becomes a shock jock TV host and somehow ends up traveling abroad, where he befriends the Greek Prime Minister, Aleio Paparex. In true Homer fashion, he gives bad advice and accidentally triggers a financial collapse. The episode aired right as Greece was facing a real-world debt crisis. Banks were closing, unemployment was skyrocketing, and people were protesting in the streets. The country became the symbol of European economic instability. While the show exaggerated the cause, the timing was bizarrely perfect. Once again, The Simpsons touched a nerve by cartoonishly echoing reality just as it unfolded. 15. Ebola outbreak, predicted in 1997. In the episode Lisa's Sax, Marge is trying to cheer up a young Bart by reading to him. She holds up a book titled Curious George and the Ebola Virus. It was random, strange, almost unsettling. Back in '97, hardly anyone knew what Ebola was. But in 2014, Ebola exploded onto the global radar during the worst outbreak in history. Over 11,000 people died across West Africa. Fear spread worldwide, airports screened passengers, hospitals stocked up, and Ebola became a household word. People rewatched that Simpsons scene and freaked out. Why mention Ebola back then, in such a weird context? Coincidence? Maybe, but it's another moment where The Simpsons touched a topic just a bit too early. So coincidence? Maybe, but after 30 years. The Simpsons has predicted viruses, presidents, tech revolutions, and global scandals all before they happened. It's more than a cartoon. It's a cultural crystal ball, and the wildest part, it's still on the air ... which means the next prediction might already be in your future. Liked the video? Let me know by tapping that thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.